Good to go? All right, so make sure you get on that too.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody to Season 3, Episode 24 of the Movement Podcast. We are officially live and ready to get this show on the road today. We have a very important topic and conversation today to discuss. Looking forward to the whole conversation. You know, we're going to be talking about remembering the life of Iman Jasim, Allah Yerhamha, and just talk about the Iman Jasim Foundation and everything else in between. For those that don't know, she was a strong pillar in the community, in every community, to be honest with you. So, you know, my sister and her daughter, Afraa, was in the building today. We're having a conversation before the show about all the great things, just touching on some of them, actually. So we're going to dive into a lot of them. Before we start the show, let me go ahead and give a shout out to the people that are in the building today. Of course, in the back on the ones and twos, we got the nephew Ramzi Ali. He's in the building. Appreciate him. To the right of me, we got little big bro Yusuf Dabba looking extra tall in that chair. He's usually down low sitting next to me, but now he's looking tall, mashallah. Y'all see why I call him little big bro now on the camera. Of course, you got myself, Omar T. And then to the left of me, you got my sister, Abir T, is in the building today as well. And then our guest today, like I mentioned earlier, is Afraa Jasim. She is the daughter of Iman Jasim, Allah Yerhamha. And so we have her on the show. Looking forward to hearing her and all the great things that she does. And so, you know, it's going to be a great conversation, inshallah. So looking forward to the whole thing. Before we start the show, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. You have YouTube, Oz Media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Oz Media. If you want to listen to the show later, it'll be on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. If you want to call in, you know, maybe you have a story that you want to share, you know, about Iman and anything that has happened in the past, feel free to call in. I got my phone with me. The number is 313-306-1750. Again, the number is 313-306-1750. Shout out to the sponsors. You got the Balkan House, Juice Box, Qahwah House, BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center, Hanley International Academy, and Sidr Bees. We're going to start off with the best honey in town. I know most of us, if not all of us, are fasting. Unfortunately, we're going to have to give a shout out to Sidr Bees. And you can also enjoy their honey with whatever you want, sabaya or something else, after you break your fast. So shout out to Sidr Bees, and then we're going to officially get the show on the road. All right, Yusuf, it looks like we have a little dilemma in our hands. We have this deliciously smelling sabaya right in front of us, but it looks like we're missing one important thing.
Yeah, it looks like we're missing some asal, you know, some honey.
And you know where the best place to go to for honey? That is Sidr Bees. Sidr Bees is a remarkable company that stands at the forefront of the honey industry. With an unwavering commitment to quality, being authentic, and sustainability, Sidr Bees has carved its name as a trusted provider of premium honey products. The company's dedication to preserving the purity of honey is evident in every jar they produce. Sidr Bees sets a standard that goes beyond taste. It's a brand that captures nature's essence and brings it to the discerning consumers who appreciate the true goodness that honey offers. Sidr Bees is not just a honey company, it's a testament to the beauty of nature and the passion to deliver excellence in every drop. All right, so we're officially ready to get this show rolling. So, Afraa, before we start talking about your mom, Allah Yerhamha, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, just, you know, ways that people can maybe understand you and what it is that you do before we even dive into any of the conversation.
Sure. Jazakumullah khair for having me on the show. I'm really excited. This is my first podcast, so I apologize if I'm informal or if I do something.
We're very informal.
Yeah,
so
we're informal.
It's the right place to start.
Yeah, we're informal, formal podcast. That's what we are.
I'm your sister in Islam, Afraa Jasim. I was born in Arizona and raised here. So I was born and raised in the States. We moved to Michigan in 1993. And I have a degree from University of Michigan, Dearborn in accounting information systems. I worked as an accountant for like 10 years and decided it's not for me. And then I moved to the IT field. That's another story of how I moved into that. It was a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm currently a business analyst at Oracle. And I do that full time. And then after my mom passed away, Allah Yerhamha, we started a foundation to continue her work. So I am president of the foundation, and we're 100% volunteer, so we don't pay anybody. So I do most of the work, by myself, and I manage a lot of that work. So that's also full time. And I'm also a mom. I have a 15-year-old daughter. Her name is Maria. And and the community, of course. I can't forget the community. I'm very involved in the community. I have halaqat in Masjid ICD, and I do give lectures here and there whenever needed as well.
Allahumma barak.
Allahumma barak. As you can see, your mom has definitely trickled down on all of her kids as well as yourself, and still doing the work in the community. And it's what can't wait to hear more about the Iman Jasim Foundation. If you guys have not heard about it, tune in, because you're going to learn a lot about it today. But if not, I know there's a website, Iman Jasim Foundation. Is it .com or
imanjasim.org?
.org. There you go. All right. So tell us, for those that may not have known your mom, or with all the great work that she has done in the past, tell us a little bit about your mom, who she was as a person, and just how the community viewed her.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Mom, Allah Yerhamha. She wasn't my mom, if I can say that.
She wasn't only your mom.
Yeah, I mean, she, like, I shared her with everybody. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like she was my mom, and she wasn't my mom, if that makes sense. Because she was my mom, and she's my best friend, my mother, my mentor, the person who I look up to. But also, like, I had to share her with everybody. And sharing her with everybody means that everybody too felt like she was their mom, and they like, she owed them time. So her time at home was divided by the community, with the community. All walks of life would come to our house. Our house is a small, very modest home, and it's a home. It's a home for everybody. People would come in the morning, at night, ask questions, crying, call her, picking you up. They pick her up. She was there for the community. Whenever she saw something that was needed or was out of place, she made sure she was there. No matter what time of day it was, what she had on her plate, everything paused when somebody asked for help. She had 6 children, mashallah. She worked full time as a teacher, but she always had the community a part of her life and a part of who she was. So she touched so many people's lives that everybody was like, where, like, they didn't feel her presence or her impact until after she left, and they're like, wow, she was that important in their life. So this is my mom. She was a lifelong learner, a lifelong teacher, a lifelong mentor. Lifelong meaning she started when she was a little kid, all these things. She was the mother for orphans, and that was the main thing that she focused on throughout her life, and we can talk into more of how she worked on that locally and internationally. Mm-hmm. And she was a change maker. And in change makers, she wasn't only. I can write a book about my mom, and I don't think this podcast is going to be long enough to talk about all the stories. But when she put her heart into it, when she saw something that was missing or a void, she didn't wait for somebody to come and do it. Mm. She would do it right away. So, so many accomplishments in her short life. She passed away at the short life of 58. Allah Yerhamha, and it was a sudden death, so it wasn't anything that we expected or were prepared for. But throughout those 58 years, she has accomplished more than people who have doubled her age in that time life cycle. So I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts and grants her the highest levels of Jannah, inshallah.
I didn't grow up in Dearborn. I grew up in Hamtramck, but through that experience, I met Fatima Fadak, and then when her father passed away, that was the first time that I seen your mom. She didn't know me, or I didn't know her personally, but being in the room and being in a room with her, you can tell how much the community respected her. You can tell how she took over a room, and it was during a death, so she gave a muhadara, and that was the first time that I've ever witnessed a muhadara at a maut. And Allahumma barak, like I said, she makes hearts open, and that was just the start. And just to continue, because I'm going to let you talk for the rest of the time. So growing up, like, I had my son at a very young age, and earlier when I was telling you, like, she was like everybody's mom, like, she didn't know me, but I still looked up to her like she was my mother. Her books are like literally lessons. and I use them to help me raise my son.
Inshallah.
So subhanallah, Allahumma barik, like the way that she speaks in through a story method, it's for any child, for any adult, for anyone can comprehend the stories. And then at the end, like I'm a teacher too, so like the lessons, like she breaks it down for you. You don't even have to think. You know what I'm saying? So Allahumma barik, like she helped me raise my son, and she didn't even know that.
Yes.
Through her books, through her lessons, through her legacy.
Yes.
So Allahumma, like I just wanted to mention that.
You mentioned that she was a teacher. Was she like a teacher at a school, or like where does she teach at?
So we first moved in '93. She was at the Islamic school, used to be named Dar al-Arqam, and now it's the ICD school. It was on Lanyo, if you guys remember that building on Lanyo. She was the Islamic studies teacher there in Arabic and Quran. And she focused mostly on the middle school aged children. So imagine you're a teacher teaching those age. You need to tell. It's very tough, but you need to come to them and to their level, and reach. To go to so that they can understand. And she was so passionate. She was tough, but yet loving. She was very focused to make sure you understand. You're not going to leave her class if you don't understand.
Yeah.
But with a loving heart. So people, like the students, they had to love her, but like. You know how you love and hate your mom?
Yeah, you don't want to disappoint them. At the end of the day, you don't want to disappoint them. It's like you're not afraid of them, but technically you are.
Yeah.
But you just don't want to disappoint them.
Yes.
That's how much love you have for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she's taught there for I think 5 or 6 years, and then she moved on. In parallel, she used to teach Saturday and Sunday school at Masjid Dix.
Yeah.
She used to teach Arabic and Quran also on Saturday and Sunday. Imagine, mother of 6. Full-time during the week, and then also on weekends also teaching children. And then she moved to Huda School. It's an Islamic school in Franklin, Bloomfield, Farmington Hills area. And she stayed there for 15 years or a little more, maybe 20 years. And then afterwards she retired.
Yeah, real quick, with everything that you've mentioned with your mom, first off, I'm amazed, mashallah. And also, real quick, you said that she's always had that mindset when she was younger, right? So who do you believe inspired her to do everything?
Her dad.
Her dad?
Her dad. She always, she has videos on YouTube, and she has a series where she speaks about the impact that her dad had on her. And he used to take her every time during Ramadan and they go and hand deliver things to the poor, hand deliver things to the needy. And her dad was also a change maker in his community. And a lot of people would come to him, and he would give lectures and advice and help people and lend a helping hand. And she's one out of 6 children as well, but she's the only one that took that from her dad and followed in his footsteps, like literally followed. Like he would go and build masajid and build homes for the poor and the needy. And my mom was also, when we get to that part, she also helped revolutionize the Dix Masjid.
For sure.
100%, where the women's area was a small, dinky room, and that was in the basement. There was no, it wasn't something that you can go and be happy and be comfortable in. And she's like, no, we're not going to do this. This is not a place where we can really enjoy and really empower the woman. So she's like, ladies, one weekend, she's like, ladies, we're painting today. And they're like, wait, what? So they went and bought paint buckets and painted the women's prayer hall. They're like, okay, we're not going to go ask the board and beg them to give us money or we're going to do it ourselves. And then she would grab the ladies, and the ladies were like, they don't question my mom.
Yeah.
They just go for it because they know it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they go for it. And they painted the masjid. And there's so many other programs that she initiated that maybe a lot of people don't know, like the balloons and the candy passing out in Eids. That was her. Wow. It was never before. We spent the first Eid here, and she's like, this is not Eid.
Yeah.
Everybody just goes to pray and goes back home.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing special for the kids. And she's like, what are you guys doing? You guys are doing it all wrong. So my childhood was Eid, was waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, going to Masjid Dix, filling helium balloons. to the point where our fingers would scrape up because of, you know,
The time. Well, I know. I do decor on the side, so I know.
We would bleed, like we would get, and then
Blisters.
and then they would also get off because we had to continue. We had to do like 500 or whatnot, and
Wow.
and we would continue doing this year after year, and then we had to make sure we secured the helium, and she made it. Now every single masjid has that as the minimum requirement for Eid celebration that they have to give for the children.
Do you feel like that you're following in her footsteps?
I try, and that's what I aspire to. Once we get deeper into that, I'll tell you my story of how I got involved.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's the next question anyway. So tell us about, you know, the Iman Jasim Foundation. What made you guys want to come up with it and keep things rolling?
So I was married, and I came back home after, you know, ending my marriage in 2014. And in thinking that was the worst thing that can ever happen to you, and, you know, nobody wants to get a divorce and nobody wants to do with that, and so on and so forth. So I came back, and I came back to my parents' house, and my mom was like, you know, do whatever you need, you know, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of everything. So she gave me my space to really like recalibrate and identify or redefine who I am and what I want to be. But in parallel to me trying to find myself again, she would tell me, Afraa, I need your help in this. Afraa, I need you to do this. Afraa, I'm designing this flyer. Can you do this? By the way, I have zero experience in flyer design or digital design but even before I have zero, but because she's ingrained in me like the ihsan and itqan meaning like you work with your heart.
Yes.
And you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't accept mediocre. She doesn't accept mediocre work. So whenever I see something that is not right, I'm like, Mama, you're doing this wrong. She doesn't know. You know, she doesn't have, you know, the managerial capability. I studied that, and I'm American, so I know all these things. She didn't know that, so she'd be like, okay, Afraa, I need to ship this, I need to send this email, I need to send this invoice, I need to talk to this person. Oh, this person gave me such a hard time, we're no longer going to deal with him. These are the vendors that this is the person that designs the book, can you help do? So she would plug me in ways that, and I used to feel like, oh my God, Mama, like I don't have time for this. Like I'm going through my own trauma, I don't need you to do this for me. But she would plug me in ways that I was like, okay, to the point where I finally got over my, you know, whatever I went to, and I was like, okay, it took me 2 years to really get over such a hard thing that I don't want others in the community to deal with what I deal with. So I started a divorce support group in the ICD, and, you know, she would, you know, tell me, okay, I'll take care of your daughter, just go do it. Go do something for the community. Go help the community in any way you can do. And then I also started a halaqa where I bring in younger girls that are still in high school and college, and you know, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I give them reflections and kind of mentoring them through, you know, this change in their lives. So as you know, the time that she gave me to really heal internally and really find myself, as soon as I was able to find myself, and I'm like, okay, now I know who I am, and now I know my purpose. I want to really help in the community and give back in the community. She passes away.
Oh, subhanAllah. But she already gave you all the stepping stones and all the access to all, you know, the vendors, you know, everything.
Everything.
Wow, subhanAllah. It's as if like she kind of knew, but she didn't know, obviously.
She planted every. And we were talking before the show started about Women United for Orphans. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you about her different programs, because it's crazy how, subhanAllah Rabbil Alameen, when He wants something to continue, it's going to continue. Yeah. And it's going to be planted. The seeds are going to be planted in a way that nobody else can expect it to continue. So Women United for Orphans, she started in 2 years before, in 2018. She passed away in 2019 after they finished their second annual fundraising dinner. She passed away, but she started them because she was saying, what if something happened to me? I don't want this work to stop. Everything is dependent on me. Everybody's like, Omar, I need to do this, Omar, I need to do. She's like, you guys, I'm only one person. I, there's always maybe I'm not perfect all the time, or I need to go travel. I don't want these works to stop because I am gone. So for her orphan work, she created this group of ladies to make sure that the sponsorship of Yemeni orphans will continue no matter what. And she gathered all the girls that, because she's been involved in the Yemeni community for so long, she handpicked the girls that she knew are working and actually doing and have that passion. Because I mean, if you don't have that passion for taking care of orphans, it's hard to build it in. So she didn't want to start from zero. So she chose these girls, and she would tell them, listen, do you want to plant your seeds for the akhirah? So basically, she doesn't give them the option to say no.
Yeah, who would say no to that?
Nobody would say no to that.
Yeah.
So she would tell them that. So they accepted it. So one day, they were having, just before she passed in November, they were having, after their big events, they have like a post-event reflection session. And I walk in one day. I don't know these girls personally. Some of them I do, not all of them I do. So I walk in one day from work, tired, and I'm just, I'm coming home. I'm done, like, that's it, my battery level is low. And I walk in and she's like, yes, you're here. And I'm like, why is my house filled with people?
Yeah.
And why are you excited to see me? What's going on? Right. She's like, deal with them, talk to them, I'm leaving. And I'm like, what do you mean talk to them? I don't know these ladies. What do you mean? And she's like, no, you need to give them feedback about an event that you didn't even attend. And I was like, oh, okay. This is cool. I'll run with it. Go ahead. Allah yawfiq. I'm in. So I go in and we sit and we talk with these girls and we like hit it off right away. And we, we're so happy to be with each other. And subhanAllah, a few months later, she passes away. And everybody's just like, where do we go from now? What do we do? Like, who's gonna? And Mass Ikna was a week later.
Keep us accountable. I guess who's gonna keep us accountable?
Who's gonna manage us and make sure that we do all these things? And Mass Ikna was a week after her death, and they're like, okay, are we gonna do it? Are we not? What are we gonna sell? What are we gonna say? What are we gonna do? And I was like, guys, I know everything. I know it all. We're going to continue. And they're like, but you work and you have a child. And like, well,
How old was your daughter at the time?
She was in 4th grade. So maybe 8 years old. And everybody's just like, I was like, you guys, she taught us that if you, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. If you rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to open doors for you. And subhanAllah, before my mom passed away, Allah Yerhamha, I was always tired. I come back from work, I'm dead, and I can't do anything, and I barely go to work. And she's like, oh, the food is ready, the house is clean, and I just come and eat like the princess and
Wow.
the spoiled brat. And my sisters were all like, yeah, Mama's still in Dalatik, and you're old and blah blah blah. And I'm like, guys, just back off.
Are you the youngest, the oldest?
I am the youngest.
Oh, okay. Explains a lot. I'm just joking.
But after she passed away, Allah Yerhamha, and taking on all that work and all that effort, there's so much barakah in my time.
Yes, subhanAllah.
And I didn't know that I had so much time wasted until I filled that time. We don't realize how much time we waste until we take on these responsibilities. So what she left behind was not only the orphans, which is a huge thing that we took on. She has orphans in Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, and we expanded it to Afghanistan as well. We'll get into that, more of the accomplishments. But she also started the Quran school at the ICD. And how did she start it? Because she knew as a teacher, there's a lot of people that struggle with just, there's a lot of programs to memorize the Quran.
Yes.
But that's advanced level.
Yeah.
Let's just teach the kids how to read. Yeah. I don't want them to memorize. I just want them to read.
And understand.
But even if you don't understand, subhanAllah, her first book, Qahwah House book, the first story speaks about a grandpa with his grandson, and the grandson's complaining to his grandpa, "Why do you always make me read the Quran? I don't want to read the Quran. I don't understand anything I'm reading. So why am I reading it?" So he tells him, "Take a cold basket and go fill it with water and bring it back." And the grandchild goes to the water and fills it with water and then comes back. By the time he comes back, the water is gone. He's like, "Grandpa, it's not filling with water. There's holes in it. How am I going to fill it with water?" He's like, "Go try again." So he goes, runs again. And he's like, "Maybe I'm going to run faster. I'll get it back in time and there's a little water." He comes back and it's empty again. His grandpa says, "Go again." And he goes again and he comes back a third time and he's like, "Grandpa, I'm done. I'm just not going to do it anymore." So he's like, "Look at the basket." And then he looks at the basket, and the basket, which was black, is now white. And he's like, "That's what the Quran does to you. You don't need to understand the words. It's of course, it's perfect or better to understand it, but just the essence of learning how to read, you have that protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can clean your heart with just learning how to read it." So focusing on just teaching children and adults how to read.
Yes.
These are all great stories. First of all, clap it up for that nice story right there. That was a nice one. So
All of the books are like that, by the way.
yeah.
They're lessons embedded with stories that like people would want to listen to.
Yeah.
No, buddy. By the way, I'm missing volume 2, so if any of my friends that borrowed it, bring it back. I'm messing around.
She knows where you live.
And by the way, this was my first ever like Islamic book in English that I've ever bought.
Oh, subhanAllah.
That was like how kind of when I was growing up, that was the first book that I've ever came across.
You want to lift one up just so people can see what they're talking about, because it's not being shown right now, obviously, in the camera. Was it a 4-part series you said?
6.
6-part? Oh, okay.
You need 2 more.
Yeah.
Oh, this is bad.
I know.
This is bad.
Okay, I
she
already know what
used
I'ma
to
do.
bully everybody to make
I know
sure
what I'ma
they buy it. Because I'll tell you the meaning behind the books, but after your question though.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, why was it so important to your mom to give back to the orphans, to empower women, or just, start things that just help the community in general? Like, why was that so important to her? I mean, I know the concept of it, with our Islamic concepts of, giving back to, the community. But, I think everyone in general tries to do their best. But obviously your mom was,
Focused more on the
like it was
orphans, the women, the...
So why was that the case?
My mom, I was hoping not to get emotional, but
It's okay.
my mom, Allah Yerhamha, was raised by her dad, but because she took on the track of being on the religious side, she didn't find that support in society for women who really want to plant the seeds for their akhirah. And usually women who love the deen and love, doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our communities, our culture teach us that you only have to be in your home and your kids and your husbands and family. That's perfect. But in order for us to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us as communities because we need to help each other. So when she moved to the States with my dad, she was alone. And she had 3 kids at that time, and not knowing the language, not having a community, she needed that support. And when she was able to finally find that support and she created the support and find that support, and she saw the shift in her life, kind of like how my story in my divorce, how it took me so long to get that. And then I started creating a divorce support group. She's the same way. She's like, I don't want anybody to go through the hardships that I went, to the point where, my dad was a student. He was a PhD student. So like sometimes they couldn't, we didn't go to the restaurants. She couldn't buy us new clothes for Eid every Eid. She didn't have a lot of things. So she struggled trying to give us the perfect life that any mom would want for her children. So she wanted to make sure that she focused on making sure that nobody goes through what she went through. And then when we bring in the orphans, it's her love. My mom doesn't know how to just love and fake love. She loved from her heart. So when she loved from her heart, she would connect with these children, and her students were her own children. So when she heard the stories of the orphans locally, mind you, not overseas, locally, she's like, okay, these students are struggling because they don't have the mom and dad in the house. What can I do to make them happy? What can I do to make them different? And what she did, how she started the orphan work, is she would go to the ladies again, the ladies in her halaqah group, and say, listen, we have to support our orphans in the community. So they would all pitch in money, and she would go herself. I would drive her, and her halaqah girls would drive her. It was not only me. I'm not taking all the credit. Her halaqah girls as well. Shout out to Fatima al-Fadak. Fatima al-Fadak was also one of those girls. We would go to the stores and buy Eid clothes for the orphans locally. And she would go and buy, like she would choose our clothes. She would make sure that she would go, and then like, I'm aging myself now, but I hope I'm not aging it too much. But there's like the Sears and the JCPenney's.
Oh, we
they
know
used
Sears
to have,
and JCPenney. And
they used to
Hudson's.
have, yeah, Hudson, there you go. They used to have those school pants for kids where if they had a program where if the kid rips the pants, then you can come exchange them for free because there's like lifetime guarantee or whatnot. So she would make sure that she would buy like quality clothes for them so that if they need to change or they need to do anything, then it's not a burden on them. They can still, that can last them for the next year that they are gonna buy the clothes.
Smart woman.
So she would do like exactly like her children, like they're her kids. And then the girls, she wanted to make sure they're modest. So make sure that they're, the skirt, baggy pants, long shirts, so that she is implanting the seeds from when they were young. And then we would perfectly wrap them, gift wrap them, and go and personally drop them off to their homes. As the years passed by, she realized, okay, maybe not everybody loves my taste in clothes, and I'm making it a burden on them that they have to go back to the stores and
Return
it and all that. So she started buying them gift cards because she didn't want to give them cash because she wanted to make sure that
It's going to close.
it's going to the kids to make them feel like they're like everybody else with the nice shoes, the new clothes, and they don't feel like they're different. So her heart was different. Finding these children, making a difference in our community, that's what she did. And that's how she started her work. And everybody was just like, oh my God. And now that's the craziest part. Those orphans that she helped and she supported are the ones that are working with her and are continuing her legacy. And the mothers that she supported are the ones that are working in the orphan kitchen and standing and continuing her work.
Allah Akbar. That just made me like.
This is
Incredible.
yeah, and
Allah Yerhamha.
Allah Yerhamha, and it's amazing work, and we're not even we're only like 1/3 of the way so far, so we're still gonna dive into more. We're gonna take a quick ad break and give a shout out to the Balkan House restaurant. Shout out to the Balkan House, we appreciate them and their support, and then we're gonna continue on with the show and learn more about Allah Yerhamha, Iman Jasim, and Afraa, and everything that they do at the foundation as well. So shout out to the Balkan House restaurant.
You know what, Yusuf, man? I'm in the mood for some Balkan food.
Yeah, man, me too.
Well, there's no better place to go for Balkan than the Balkan House restaurant. The Balkan House restaurant is famous for their doner kebab sandwiches. But did you know that the Balkan House now serves breakfast? Did you also know that all their food is 100% halal? There are currently 2 Balkan House locations, one in Hamtramck and one in Ferndale. But they now also have 2 food trucks, so you can book your next party or event with the Balkan House on wheels. If you're looking for a nice place to eat with friendly service and great prices, look no further than the Balkan House restaurant.
All right, we're here with Afraa Jasim. She's talking about, her mom, Iman Jasim, Allah Yerhamha, and the Iman Jasim Foundation. So let's move on to now the foundation. How are the operations being run? How does that work? Give us positions, who's running them, and just let's say there's an event. Like, how would that event look like in terms of the members of the organization and how they're executing that day?
So the foundation, we started in 2020. We have a board that overlooks the high-level overview of what we do. The foundation began to make sure that she continues the work. The work continues in all aspects, and especially not to cut off the support to the orphans, because she worked so hard to make sure to ensure them, and making sure that. Okay, I need to explain this because this is very important. The way she worked with maybe 85% of all organizations. She was a one-man show. She wasn't her own organization before she passed, but people trusted her with the funds because of her track record and what she did. So they knew that if she's going to take care of something, she's going to do it wholeheartedly. So she started off with the organizations, and then she would tell them, I'm going to get you the money. You take 0%. All of them at first said yes. All of them agreed. And then slowly they said, sorry, we can't. We're going to have to start taking. We can't. We have to have admin fees. وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا. It's halal. It's 100% okay to take it. It's allowed because people actually have to do the work. So you have to pay them people to do the work. But she was very adamant that the money, you can take whatever you want from the other projects that you fundraise, because the way you fundraise for funds is different than the way I fundraise for funds. When I say 100% goes. So the only organization that continued its promise and she continued working with them was Pure Hands in Yemen, where they take 0. And then she would partner with other organizations that are smaller, that they would give her that because they need the funds to make sure that their programs were running. So she stopped working with any of the big named organizations I'm not going to name because of their higher admin fees. So we wanted to make sure that all that goes to make sure
Where it needs to go.
Where it needs to go. So we run 2 campaigns a year. Well, the first one is in Ramadan, and then in November for the Yemeni orphans. So I am the president, and I manage most of the works. I'm involved in both campaigns. In Ramadan, we get the support of my brother Abdullah, my siblings, obviously, and then the designer of the books. Her name is Nadia Youssef. She's an architect that is local here, and she's the one that draws and does all those things.
Nice.
And then some of her students and mentees that are across the states also help and support when needed. Maryam Muhammad, she also helps us sometimes in our campaign. So we just it's 100% volunteer. And we don't do in-person events, just because she's very focused on not spending money.
Right.
So we don't want to put, even though a lot of people say, oh, you have to spend money to get money.
Yeah.
But she says, be innovative in the ways you make events, or you partner with other people that are doing, so that you put minimal amount and still make that impact and that change. So we make sure that our online, and if anybody follows us, please, Iman Jasim Foundation on Instagram. We're different than any other organization, where we don't just focus on fundraising. We really work on empowering, because as my mom wasn't only give me money, give me money, give me money.
Right.
Teach them the importance of giving back. Why is it important, and why do we do this? So that's our, and then in Ramadan, we make sure that we choose empowerment projects. And why? We want to break the cycle. We want to break the cycle of sponsorship out over and over and over again. Every month you have to pay, and if you don't pay, their life is at risk, and they might not be able to survive. So in Yemen, for example, there was a year where we taught the orphans how to do cell phone repair, or secretarial work, or solar panel installations.
Wow.
In Syria, which I'm actually going next week, that was the surprise reveal that,
Really?
that I was gonna tell, and I'm giving you guys Oh, I mean,
Full access to?
full access to. I'm actually going to Syria next week, inshallah,
So-
and to go and see the school that we built. 90% of the school is orphans. So I'm going to go and see and be with the students there and see them full-time school where they learn all the prime subjects plus Arabic and Quran and Islamic studies. So they're also getting that. So that's that seed. And then also 26 families, we gave them a grant to open businesses. 26 families now don't rely on sponsorship. They rely on themselves to be self-sufficient. And then the orphanage in Afghanistan, where the caretaker is actually a doctor himself in California, and he really treats them like his children, his own. So he takes them to private schools. They eat, they eat home cooked meals. They memorize Quran, and he instills in them the best of behavior. And then by the time they finish high school, they get scholarships, and some of them are in Turkey studying university on scholarship. And I'm going to go and meet them and get to know them. So I'm very excited for that. A lot of people were telling me, "Why are you going?" Right now, what's happening in Gaza and Palestine, they need our prime support. And I'm like, you don't just stop taking care of your children because of a catastrophe that's happening. So every November we do a campaign to sponsor orphans in Yemen, to continue sponsoring. We have 230 orphans in Yemen that we sponsor in 11 out of the 21 governments in Yemen. So they're all over the place, and they rely on that sponsorship. We're going to work to survive. So we can't just stop. But in November, we didn't have the heart to raise those funds. We're like, no, we're going to give it to Gaza. So now in Ramadan, I'm like, okay, we have to now collect funds to continue sponsoring our orphans. And everybody's just like, but why not Gaza? I'm like, we can't stop taking care of our responsibilities. These people depend on us, and we have to continue, fulfilling our duties towards them. You don't just stop feeding your kids. You don't stop going to work and getting that money to survive. So how can we decide what to turn off and what to cut off, and when do we decide what's important, what's not important? It's been such a humbling experience, but what goes on behind the screen is so many sweat and tears and hours and hours and hours of editing. And you told me the intro video, it was one take. I can show you my photo gallery. It has takes after takes after takes after takes, and I have to make it under a minute, and I have to make it engaging, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and all that we had to learn to make sure the work is continuing. And so I'm just going to tell you the benefits of Ramadan, and then I'll talk about the November campaign, because that in itself is another story. It's an incredible story. But in Ramadan, the final Ramadan that my mom spent, Yerhamha, in 2019, she would spend her entire Ramadan going from masjid to masjid with her table and her books and her products. And by the way, okay, I'm going to go on another.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Her books, she started it because she was tired of begging people for money. And fundraising is basically begging people for money.
Yeah.
And she, like how she didn't want to belittle the orphans and show their faces and have them beg for money, she didn't like it herself. And whatever she didn't like herself, she didn't want it for anybody else. She's like, what can I do to make fundraising easier? There has to be something to make it easier. This is not acceptable. So then I recorded a reflection video of the story. So if you guys want to watch it, it's on the Iman Jasim Foundation. But she basically authored these books so that she can sell them to people, and people would give back, and 100% of that money is donations. So she would write it in Arabic, and then her halaqa girls, she's like, okay, you guys all know Arabic and English, translate. Bootlegged translation. It's okay. It's the start. Now, if you have an English translation, it's going to be, you send it off to an editor is going to, fix it because, but they can't fix Arabic because they don't know. So you need a bootleg translation and then do it. So she started off with the books, and then everybody's like, yeah, I'm willing to buy. And oh, it's for orphans, I'll pay more.
Yep.
And I'll pay more. And she was like, oh, this is working. This is really working. Now I don't have to ask, because now they're getting something. And what's genius about it is there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he says, when a person dies, everything is cut off except for 3 things. Ilm, which is knowledge that people are continuing to learn from. Sadaqah jariyah, and children that make dua for you. One problem that she tried to fix, and she was innovative and creative in fixing, gave her three things that will remain after that she passed. So she didn't stop at that. She created greeting cards and keychains, dua, and all of the products that she created was not just use it and throw it away. It's to empower you, to really remind you of your purpose in life and what you're here for. And you're here to make sure that you're planting the seeds for your akhirah, because in this life is temporary. I once attended a janazah with Sheikh Masmari, and he said something that I always use. Shout out Sheikh Masmari. But he said that on a tombstone, your date of birth and then your date of death. What's in the middle? What's in the middle of those 2 dates?
A dash.
A dash. That's your life.
A dash.
A dash.
That's deep.
That is very deep.
That's it. Focus on the akhirah, because this life is going to be gone like this. If you plant the proper seeds, it will remain. So all these things is she's planting these seeds. And she would go to every masjid, and she would put her table, and her smile, and
Beautiful smile,
and she's talking and conversing and hugging, and everybody that said what they miss most is her hugs, because they all felt like she loved them the most. And they were her best friends, and they were her best kids or whatever. And I'm just like, no, I'm her best child, I'm her favorite child. But that's the love that her heart was on her sleeve. Everybody was loved, so everybody couldn't stop by her table and not give her something. It was just that contagious. They just had to. They were just something about her that would come bring her. Even though when she went to some masajid, by the way, a lot of people would be like, okay, Yani, we get it. You don't have to do this all the time. Or some people would comment about the way she dressed. You always come up with the same abaya. You don't have another abaya? And she would come back home crying like, I do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And people are so mean. Don't just keep your comments to yourself. Don't. But then she'd be like,
You know what? There's a lot of people, they need that. They need to keep their comments to themselves. Wallah, a lot.
But then she would come back, she'd cry. But then she'd be like, you know what? I'm not doing it for them. I don't care if they don't like me. I'm going to keep on doing it. And she would go back to the same communities over and over again. And she didn't care, because her relationship is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She didn't care. Who would say something bad about her, as long as the work continues. So she would go to the different masajids, Canton, Bloomfield, Hamtramck, wherever, anybody that would accept her, she would go. She would put the food for us and leave. She would put the food and leave. And that last Ramadan, she would come home crying every single time, because she put a goal of $60,000. Every year, طبعاً, she would increase it, because she would always want to push herself. She doesn't want us to leave at the status quo.
And she believes Allah's a qadir. It's going to happen.
100%. But you have to put the effort. And she would always say, okay, أنا مقصرة. I'm not doing enough. Even though she's not leaving, she's always crying, pray qiyam and make dua. And then at the final day, she was able to get the 60,000.
Wow.
Allahu Akbar. And she was so happy. Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. And salat shukr. And she did it all. Ever since she passed away, and Allah is my witness, every single campaign we run, it doubles, if not triples that number.
Listen, I'm just so happy that we finally got a chance to do this.
Yes.
You know, qawlatum, give the person their flowers. You know what I mean? There's a couple questions or comments I want to make. First of all, you know, Kareem, our cousin, said, "I love your advertisements," and he said, "Yerhamha, what an amazing woman." Then it's Asil Shiha, I believe. Asil Shiha. I love all the love for Khala Afraa. So maybe
That's my niece.
niece. Okay, did I say her name right?
Asil.
Asil.
Yeah.
Okay, Asil. So, first of all, I love some of the campaigns that y'all do because, you know, there's that famous line of, you know, you give a man a fish, they'll eat for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. I think that's so important that we have campaigns for people where we're not just, I mean, it's good to donate and it's good to give the people what they need in terms of resources, but you want to set them up to where they can now do it themselves and set them up for a lifetime and set them up for generations, you know, because then they could teach their kids and their future kids and stuff like that.
They
And
feel empowered.
they feel definitely empowered. And then another part that I was going to say, I think it's just more of a question is, was your mom ever tired?
She didn't know how to be tired because she had the amana of, so her program doesn't only stop with the Quran school and the orphan sponsorship program. She had weekly halaqat for the community, and the story that came out today, the orphan kitchen, is also something that she started from our house. The ladies in the halaqah, they're like, oh, we don't have money, we can't help you, or we have so many problems, or, you know, the older ladies, they're sitting at home, they don't have anything to do. And she's like, oh, okay, come to my house and we'll make ka'ak. We'll bake ka'ak and we'll sell it. And whatever we get, we'll proceeds to the orphans. And they're like, really? And she's like, yeah, why not? So they started in our kitchen, and they'd come once a week, and during this time they'd sing and they'd tell stories and they'd laugh and they'd make fun of each other of them not doing the right thing, and she's not ajning right, and she's not sisterhood. And she created that bond. And so and then this lady would take her to the side and tell her this thing. This lady would take her to the side. So she didn't have time to sit and really.
Yeah.
I remember one time I took her, a friend gifted me a spa, to go into the spa. And I was like, Mama, you're coming with me. And she's like, no, I don't do this dunya stuff. I don't do this. I was like, no, you're going to do it. You're going to come with me. And she went. And the lady was doing her pedicure. And you know, when you go to a pedicure, you're slouched back and you're relaxing. And she's like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. Don't. And she feels bad that somebody's like doing that. And then she started talking to the lady, and the lady just stopped doing her work, and she's just listening to my mom. And I'm like, hello, we need to go. But she was again tired. Her body, yes. But her heart was never tired. She loved doing that, what she did. She thrived on helping people, and it was like her adrenaline. Like, she would look forward to it. And to the point, one of the times she was, I'm going to interject this incredible story that she also did, is she helped one of her nephews in Iraq. He was going through hardship and he wanted to start his own business. So she said, listen, I don't have a lot of money, because all the money was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Beautiful.
Mama, Allah Yerhamha, passed away, and all her belongings and all her clothes is one duffel bag. That was it. So she didn't really have, this is her legacy is in her amal salih. She didn't leave any worldly thing behind. So she told him, listen, I am proud of you for wanting to start your own business, to the point where I'm willing to invest in you. So she invested with him $5,000. It's not a lot, but she's like, listen, I'm going to invest, but I want ribah. I want profit. She's a businesswoman.
Hey.
But my ribah goes to help orphans in Iraq. So what is she teaching? What is she teaching him?
Charity, the importance of charity and giving back.
Because once you do that, there's going to be barakah in your work.
Yes.
And now, while she was alive, she would send, and there's a lot of videos of her where she's actually in Mosul, and you say where we get this empowerment. that's her final years. Is she focused on empowering the people of Iraq and Mosul, and specifically she opened shops and bakeries for people, orphan families in Mosul, to really empower them. And her final video was of her showcasing the actual opening of the store and being, they're being able to take care of themselves. Inshallah, I plan to go this summer to go and visit those places and make sure that they're going well and everything is going well. But her nephew, his business is actually thriving now, and all her projects that she started before are being run by profits from that business.
If you think that gave you chills, a viewer just texted me and said that they're gonna, no name, but they want to give $500 to the foundation. So I will give you their contact information, or I can be the middleman to the situation. But they want to donate $500 to the foundation for the great work that you and your family do. So, trust me, it gave me chills. That's why I was paused for a second there. I'm sorry. I had to read that message. But, this is what it's all about, honestly. Your mom, Yerhamha, put a footprint. Look at all the countries that you've named. All the places in this world that she left a footprint in, and still is till this day. And also just the fact that, we live in a world where, we're so focused on our own people, and it's so sad to me. Like, it bothers me so much because, like, I'm not even just talking about Arab. Like, when you even talk about the Arab community, it's kind of bad that, we're focused so much on, who we are, and then, nationalism, and not really focused on helping others. And, your mom was a beautiful example of, like, how she literally blood, sweat, and tears, and nothing other than obviously the rewards from Allah, nothing in terms of monetary, and being the perfect example of how a human being should carry themselves. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm learning more about her, obviously, from the show, and just doing a little bit of research. We're coming up to questions, and it's beautiful. I wish I knew this earlier. We do different things that, like, now I'm happy that I know a foundation that's doing some great work that we can also start supporting as well in future, inshallah. And, the person also said this, but we'll also back it up by saying, if there's anything that we can help throughout the year, please, if it's raising awareness on a show, or just attending and covering the event, or just, obviously in any way possible, you just know that you have the support from us as well. This is a good time to run our final ad, and then we're going to close out this show with our last couple questions. So let's give a shout out to Specialty Medical Center, Ramsey. Let's give them a shout out, Specialty Medical Center, and then we're going to keep things rolling. So thank you for the donor, by the way, if you're still watching, and shout out to Specialty Medical Center.
All right, Yusuf. So, the other day I was playing basketball with my friends, doing what I usually do on the court. But as I was driving to the lane, I kind of hurt my knee.
Oh, man, not again.
Yeah, but this time I knew which place to go to that would take care of me the best. And that is Specialty Medical Center. Specialty Medical Center is a medical center that prides itself on patient care and its rehabilitation services. Their primary focus is developing a customized treatment plan unique to each individual patient's needs. Their center offers a full range of patient care, from diagnostic testing, pain management, physical therapy, regenerative medicine solutions, and surgical care. They currently have 2 locations, one in Dearborn and one in Sterling Heights. So if you're looking for a place that treats your medical needs the best, be sure to stop by Specialty Medical Center.
Alhamdulillah.
And you just mentioned something very good. I mean, is it okay if you just mention it again, maybe on air, about, like, giving back? Like, it's not about just, I don't know. You say what you kind of just mentioned, I guess. If it's okay with you, are you okay with mentioning that, or you want to not talk about it? I mean,
no, I wear my heart on my sleeve too. So I don't mind. Because anything that can help continue the work, I'm willing to do. So I was just telling them that I'm very thankful for this donor that actually gave, because we're finding it very hard this campaign to get donations, because it's not Palestine, it's not Gaza. But these are our orphans, and they rely on, our donors and our people like, you and me, because we've committed to them and we've been sponsoring them. This is going to be our 6th year. We can't just stop. So it's been a struggle, and subhanAllah, things like this remind me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rizq is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. And he's gonna, just like how my mom was confident that she was gonna reach her goal at the end, inshallah, by the will and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we too will be able to get to the goal, inshallah, by donors that really want to look at outside the box. Because in our Launch Good campaign, when we were writing it up, it's very hard to, again, fundraising is very humbling experience. But if you look at history and you see Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi is the one that opened Masjid al-Aqsa after many years of other rulers failing. And was Salah ad-Din from Palestine? No. He was Kurdish from Iraq. So we don't know where the khair is going to be. We don't know what plant or what seed we're going to put to make a difference or to make an impact. We need to make sure we diversify what we do, and perhaps one plant really sprouts and makes that impact and helps not only Palestine but all the neighboring countries that really need help and really need our support. So Jazakumullah khair again.
Yeah, okay. Of course, anytime. We all are on the same page, I feel like, in this room for sure. So if there's one thing you would want the viewers or for people that may have known your mom, Allah Yerhamha, to take away from all the work that she has done or the person that she was, if there was one thing, what would you say? What would it be?
Take action. Do something. Whatever it is. If you don't know what you're good at, volunteer. I had a girl in the last ICD Qiyam come up to me, and she's like, I went to so many classes and I finished this program and I finished that program and I want to be a halaqa leader and I want to be a leader. And I said, be a servant first. Be a volunteer. Learn what the community needs. Be there. Be present. Be there. And I was just telling Abir, sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
I was just telling Abir, after what happened in Palestine and in Gaza, I felt, even though I have so much going on already, that I am lacking in my community involvement and being present in my community. So for years, I've been trying to start a public halaqa. I have private halaqas for high school and college, but for years I wanted to do one for public, but I can't take on another project because I need to be smart in what I take on, because I don't want, I don't want
at the end of the day, it's
itqan, and I have to do it with ihsan, and I don't want to qassar in anything, so I can't take it on myself. And every time I tell somebody, come on, let's do this, they're like, oh my God, no, it's too much, we can't take it on, and we're not scholars and blah, blah, blah. I said, we have to do this for the community. So subhanAllah, with the coming of Gaza and the issue in Palestine, everybody felt weak and they needed to do something. So I was like, guys, how about we do a new halaqa, public halaqa for the community? And they're like, yes, we're in. Switch.
No, subhanAllah.
I've asked them so many times before and none of them want. And now it's a complete switch. And subhanAllah, I'm trying to be more involved in the public space where I make myself available for the community. The community needs us, and they need people just to be sisterhood, brotherhood. We need to be there for each other. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he was sent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to Fir'aun. What did Prophet Musa ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? To send his brother. Because you need somebody standing by your side. To hold your back, to get through the life's challenges, and to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if you don't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly, you're going to be you're going to dig a deep hole in this dunya. It's going to be very hard for you to find your way out. So do something, whatever capacity. If you're good at drawing, try to find a way you can give back in the community through drawing. If you're good at digital marketing, there's so much, like, come on, the flyers that the masjids come out with. I'm sure our community has so many, great digital designers or whatever. Volunteer your time. And it's so hard. You guys would be so surprised how hard it is to find people to give up and do something for you. Fi sabilillah. Everybody wants money back. Everybody wants to get something in return. And it's like, hello, there's so much more reward in working for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then I realized, okay, I need to take a step back, show them how the reward or how good it is to do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That good feeling that you feel, that you, the barakah that you see in your life as a result. And then I'm going to have more volunteers and more people to want to do work for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do it with itqan and ihsan. Because there's a work that I'm going to do it, whatever, and just get it done. But there's a different work of doing it. And if you look at our Instagram page from when we started to now, every year we try to make it different. We try to improve. And improving these skills to make it more adaptable to the community and the viewers, international viewers, to be able to see it using our own community and volunteers within the community.
For sure. There you go. Well, we've reached the last question. All right, and it's called, we call it the weekend motivation, but obviously we don't want this to motivate someone just for the weekend, but it is the weekend. So we call it weekend motivation. And basically somebody that might be in a similar spot as you, someone that may have lost someone that was important to their lives. What advice would you give them on how to continue their legacy?
We get that question a lot because, subhanAllah, losing, we always assume everybody's going to live forever. even though the only thing that's promised in this life is death. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to get married. You're not guaranteed to graduate college. You're not guaranteed to be successful. You're not guaranteed to be rich, poor. You're guaranteed to die. That's all. But we all live life as if nobody's going to die. So when I did this session with my halqa girls before Ramadan, I took them to the graveyard. And we went to the beginning and we were cleaning out the graves. And I said, this is 10 years or 20 years. 20 years. It was 20 years. 20 years, nobody remembers you anymore. 10 years, nobody remembers you anymore. Do for your life. Do what you want to leave, like plant your seeds and what you want to leave your legacy while you're alive. Don't depend on somebody else. So whatever good you want to do it now for yourself first and foremost. We have to be selfish in this thing in strategically planting our seeds for the akhirah in this dunya.
And with our time.
You have to do it now. Like don't delay it. Don't say, oh, inshallah, next year when I'm done with this. Today, for yourself. Now, for the people that have passed and dealing with that loss, doing something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you that pleasure, because the Prophet ﷺ says that if a person dies, I said it already, the walad salih. So when I use this example all the time, I said, in Eid, I always buy my mom, a pajama for Eid, or I try to buy her a nice perfume. My mom loved pajamas and perfumes. So that if we wanted to buy her anything, those are the only two things that she'd accept. Otherwise, she would not accept anything else. Allah Yerhamha ya Rab. So she, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Walad salih.
So now, instead of me buying her that dress, I do the work. Because every time she gets a da'wah, she's getting the ajr. Yes. And they get that ajr in the barzakh, where they get new dresses, they get unique food, and everybody's like, where did you get that from? No, I have I have kids.
Oh, that's so
I have kids
beautiful.
that are waiting for me, that are doing this for me. I raised good kids that are doing these things for me. And it's not only that. Remember, if you want to take care of, like, massaging their hands or their feet, you are now a literal representation of their hands and their feet and their hearts and their bodies. Whatever you do good, put the niyyah for them, and they're going to get that. So whatever you used to do to take care of them while they're alive, you can still do it. And that's the beauty of our religion. You can still do it, and by you getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're getting the ajr. So do good. Again, I'm going back to my previous one. Do something. Do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A smile. A smile is all you need. Call a friend. Text somebody. Pick up garbage from the street. All those, and say, you know what? That's for you, ma. That's for you, baba. That's for you, brother. And they will get it, and they will get the presence of your actions, inshallah, in their place right now in the barzakh, inshallah.
What a show. What a show. And I, by the way, for those that are watching or maybe will eventually watch, just know that this was just like a percentage of the things that her mom may have done. She wasn't even able to dive into probably everything. And so, you want to learn more, imanjasim.org. That's the website. We give our final words. I want to start off with you, Yusuf. Overall thoughts on the whole show and how everything went today and what you learned today.
First off, coming into today's show, I didn't expect anything like this, and like what you told me and what you told everyone here and what you told the viewers, it's very inspiring. I learned a lot just from this show, and I'm for sure I'm gonna rewatch it again. And just off the last question, like the motivation, your answer, I really felt it, and making your presence today. Because as you mentioned, in the grave 10 years from now, people will forget you. I love the show. So, alhamdulillah.
May Allah reward you and your family and your mom tenfold for all the things that you guys have done and still do to this day. Just know, if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, is that you gained a support system.
Big time.
Men and women. If it's a women thing, I'm sure my sister would jump up in a heartbeat. And then now you have a bunch of fellas too that can support you in any situation. There's one thing that we try to do with this, is it's not just have shows, is to show up at places and be there and to represent, the community. I call it a community-based media network because literally that's what we're here for. And so that's what we try to do. And, inshallah, this is just the beginning of a long-term, teamwork kind of relationship, and that we can work together, inshallah, in future.
Ya Rab, inshallah.
Future things. So, Abid, any final words, final comments?
So I'm not a part of the Movement podcast. I'm part of the Motivate Me one. But since he told me that you were coming on, I was like, oh, I have to come on. Consider me your sister.
Aww.
Like literally. And inshallah, may this continue even after, we're gone.
Inshallah.
And your mother was a great leader. She knew how to create leaders, and that's what great leaders do. And I can see it in you, and may Allah reward you for carrying on your mother's legacy and also creating a legacy of your own.
Inshallah, inshallah. Ameen, ameen, ya Rabbil Alameen.
This is your final time to how people can support you. Final words, final comments, or follow you guys as well.
Final scene, so like ending.
I'm sorry. How about closing remarks? Is that bad?
Okay,
closing.
Words are powerful.
Yeah.
Subhanallah, if my mom has affected you in your life, in the way you grew up, your family, then make sure you support the work, and make sure that we continue growing, because we have to support each other, and for this work to continue. We're 100% volunteer based. We take zero. Even these trips that I take, the new gear that we do, or the new hoodies that we create, I pay for myself. Zero of the funds go, other than going directly to the orphans. We take zero. So I just want to make sure that to highlight that, because she planted the seed, and she gave her life for the community, and it's the community's responsibility to continue. It's not her kids. Because I remember how I started in the beginning. It's not only us. We're not her kids only. The whole community as a whole stands together and really makes sure that this seed, it's by the will and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost, but we have to take the action and make sure that it continues to grow and we continue doing this good work, because the work that we're doing is incredible, mashallah, tabarak ar-Rahman, and it's not from me. I tell them, I take zero credit, although I'm putting the time and the effort and the tears and the sweat, and I take zero. All the tawfiq that we've seen thus far is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 100% of it, and it's barakah from her work and you said tired, it's all the sweat and tears that she put throughout all her life. This is the result. She didn't see this success in her life. I'm telling you, she was able to only get 60,000 in one thing after traveling and going to different masjids and asking people and people giving her all those things. She saw the fruits of her labor after, and all her projects not only continued but expanded and grew. And that, if that is not something that you can be motivated by, I don't know what it is.
May Allah allow her to rest in Jannat al-Firdaus.
Ameen. Reunite us all with her.
Ameen.
She used to make a dua that I want to share with you guys and end with, inshallah, is Allahumma sta'amilna wa la tastabdilna. Oh Allah, use us and don't replace us. Why is that a dua important? Because as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using you for His sake, then stay alive, because you're racking up the ajr and you're making your forever home a beautiful resting place for yourself. As long as you're not working and you're not able to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take you. Go. You're done. You did enough. So always make that dua, because in order, as long as we're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everything, there's going to be barakah in our, not only us personally, our time, but our families, our business, and everything else. So make sure that we make that dua and continue doing good. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Even in العصر, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time, because time is of essence. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. Make sure you take advantage of today before tomorrow. Jazakumullah khair.
You have a few deserving round of applauses on today's show.
You should start your own podcast and just focus on a specific. You know how you're saying you want to go public? It should, like, Allahumma barik, you're natural.
Oh,
and
Jazakumullah khair.
you, with all the work that your mom does and you guys are doing till this day, each show can be like a different, you dive into it more. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Give you more work than I
I'm sorry. But it could be a good way, to promote, what you guys are doing, and more people can donate maybe, inshallah. So, with that said, this was, first of all, again, just want to throw that out there. And then you didn't mention this. How can people follow you and on the website and
sorry,
stuff?
I
It's okay.
forget those stuff. I'm so bad at these things.
It's okay.
Instagram handle is Iman Jasim Foundation. We'd love to see you on there. And our website, imanjasim.org. And we're just basically on Instagram and website.
Yeah.
And then I do send spam messages on WhatsApp, but it's not spam. But like when we're running our campaigns, you're gonna get spammed, because we work so hard on the content to make sure that it spreads to the most. But we don't send like emails and overwhelm people on that. But if you really want to follow along, like, people just tell me, everything you do, just send me. I want to see. Because it inspires me and I love it so much. So if you're that kind of person, shoot us an email and we'll add you to the list.
There you go. First of all, going back to, obviously us is follow us on all of our socials. We got YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all under Oz Media. You'll be able to listen to the show later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. Shout out to the sponsors: the Balkan House, Choose Box, Qahwah House, BC Adhesives, Specialty Medical Center, Hanley International Academy, and Sidr Bees. We appreciate them and all of their support. Thank you, Afraa, for coming on the show today. You did an amazing job. Thank you to your foundation for all the great work that they do. you know, I like to thank people for giving us an opportunity to support and help, because you know you are giving us an opportunity to, inshallah, you know, make the rewards count and gain more hasanat. So I think that's how people should be viewing it. Really, we should be thanking them for giving us this opportunity. So thank you again. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. This was season 3, episode 24 of the Movement Podcast. We again, like, follow, subscribe, tune in, share. We will see you all next week as well. Next week we'll have Dr. Shadi on the show to talk about Palestine. He went there, and he's going to talk about what the current stuff that's been happening over there as well. So it should be another interesting show. We hope again that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next